waiting. I like it when it's a little bit more quiet.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Chris. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is the fourth Sunday in the month of November. And this is a week that brings us Thanksgiving. So I hope we're all looking forward to Thanksgiving. And it's also a delightful time to express our gratitude for the benevolence that pervades every aspect of our lives, and a time for gathering and time for rejoicing. And it includes the gratitude I feel for you all being here with me today. I thank you very much for that. Yeah, and we gather like this each fourth Sunday as we together seek to deepen our understanding of and our commitment to our discernment for this year, which is making a home for the mystic heart. And again, I hope we continue like we have been to support one another, help one another in our quest through our commitment to meditation, to contemplation, to self-surrender, so we can help one another in our quest to get to the core of making a home for the mystic heart, which is unity with the divine. And this month we're looking at how meditation can bring us to a knowing of ourselves and how we can have a direct experience of that mystic union. But first, as is our tradition here at Interfaith Community Sanctuary, we begin by inviting in our ancestors and honoring our first peoples. And this morning, Rich has been so kind as to volunteer.
Good morning, everyone. Welcoming in our ancestors. All of us have a line of people stretching back to infinity who have helped us, guided us, made us who we are today. Some of them are blood relatives. Many of them are not. In Sufism, we talk about something called a silsila. And a silsila is depending on what school of Sufism you belong to, for lack of a better term, Mawlavi, Inayati, Qadiri, whatever. There's a list that generally starts with the Prophet Muhammad and then goes down the list of all of the teachers of that school on up to the present day. Okay, so, and that is considered, you know, the tradition of basically like your spiritual ancestors, the people who taught you. I maintain that we all each have our own personal silsila. You can start back with your parents, with your brothers, and go all the way back to infinity. Okay, and so I want to take just a moment of silence for everybody to think about their ancestors, blood relatives or not, and how they have brought us to where we are today. So let's just take a moment to do that. Okay. Yeah, I know I didn't give you time to go too far back, but, you know, that's okay. You can think about it later. I want to welcome those ancestors in, all the ones that were in your mind, all the ones that are in my mind, and have them come and be with us for this period of devotion, of meditation, of prayer. I also want to remind everybody that we are standing on Coast Salish land, particularly on the land of the Duwamish. And from age immemorial, going back maybe 10,000 years, maybe more, they have been the keepers of this land, and this land has been sacred. This land is still sacred. And I want us to honor that and to remember they are part of our ancestors too, and they are the first peoples, and this is their land, and we really live on it by their suffrage. So thank you.
Thank you, Rich. And another one of our absolutely delightful traditions here at Interfaith is to provide an offering to the Divine Feminine. And this morning, Isla's been so kind as to volunteer.
Well, George surprised me this morning.
Surprise.
I have no instruments, but I have been chanting a special invocation to Kuan Yin, considered the goddess of love and mercy and compassion, who hears the cries of the world and responds to us. So if you would like, you can imagine the glow of loving kindness in your heart, emanating out, filling you, healing you, and then out into the world wherever it may be needed. Om Namo Kuan Yin Busa. 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 Om Namo Quan Chien Pusa. 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 Om Namo Quan Chien Pusa.
Thank you so much, Isla. That was lovely. So now moving from the sacred to the profane. This is a time where we talk about sharing our wealth. Would you mind passing that basket around? As we pass the basket around for monetary contributions, which are absolutely essential to keep this lovely sanctuary standing, to be quite crude about it. It's a 130-year-old building that needs continual, tender, loving care. So your monetary contributions are much appreciated. And there's another opportunity, if you're not here to give in person, it's very, very easy to give online. Just look for that little donate button that's on the left-hand side of the screen. Push it, and you'll be able to donate. And also, if you don't have any cash today, there's a QR code in the back that you can use with your phone. And as we talk about sharing our wealth, I always like to bring up, I think everyone likes to bring this up, the fact that we not only share our wealth of dollars and cents, but our wealth of experience and knowledge. And every week here we have a number of offerings that people will take their time on a voluntary basis to come and share their experience, to share their knowledge with us. And there's something going on virtually every day of the week. And I'd like to acknowledge them. If somebody's going to go through all the effort to do that, I'd like to at least give them a cursory acknowledgement. So what I'm briefly going to run through is the gatherings this week. And starting with this afternoon. This afternoon at 2:30, we are celebrating our 38th annual Interspiritual Thanksgiving celebration with songs and prayers, chants, spiritual practices, and I'm told also small group conversations. It is being held at St. Joseph's Parish in Capitol Hill, and I do believe that registration is required. And or pay at the door, okay. Oh, you probably didn't get to that on home, but it turns out registration is not absolutely required. You can just show up. But if you're here and want more information about that, see either Sally Jo or Jamal afterwards. Tomorrow night, Monday at 7:30, both in person and on Zoom, the Seattle Medley Order of America, which Michael's involved with, offers Remembrance in the Heart of Rumi. Tuesday, we have the CWIS Women's Medicine Circle on Zoom only. Here in person on Tuesdays also at 7 p.m. is A Course in Miracles. Also on Tuesday and again on Wednesday on Zoom, a group meets to explore the mystical poetry of Rumi's Mathlawi. Thursday, right here in person, sitting in silence, is a small contemplative gathering we have every week, 7 p.m. On Friday at 1:30 on Zoom again, our prayers in the Islamic tradition. Next Sunday at 10, our guest speaker service will be hosted by Maggie McClellan, someone I don't know but I've heard about, who will share a Baha'i perspective on the destiny of America, which sounds something inviting. We should hear about that. And then following our guest speaker next Sunday, we will have our monthly Guiding Council meeting. And I think, as most of you know, the Guiding Council is the critical, I emphasize critical, decision-making circle for all practical and spiritual matters here at Interfaith Community Sanctuary. And so we urge all members to attend. We not only would like you to attend, we need you to attend. It's how we get things done. And also, guests are most welcome as well. And then looking a bit ahead, on December 4th, from 7 to 8 p.m. here, there will be an interfaith prayer vigil. Is that right, Jamal? I just made it up this morning as I was coming in here. But I thought we should have one. So like Rick in Casablanca, I was misinformed. But anyway, Sally Jo, you want to come up and talk about that?
No, it's a Saturday. Does somebody have a calendar? I took it out my phone, but he did. No, December 6th.
On microphone.
7th is Saturday. 7th. That's what we need. Can I? Sorry. We're very good calendars around here. Me and myself and I. Hi, I'm Sally Jo. Now you know the real me. This, in 2 weeks, on Saturday, December 7th, right, from 2 to 5, we are having an open house here, and we're starting with a musical offering, which is a concert here in the fellowship, in the sanctuary, and Phil and Birgit, who were our musicians last week at Jamal's service, they're going to open our little concert. This is a donation. This is a a soft fundraiser, I call it. Just give what you can. This is an end of the year, trying to just do one last fundraiser to try to make sure our books end up the year balanced. And we're having music up here. Isla has agreed to play, and Steve has agreed to play, and I'll maybe play a little piece, and I'm still gathering other musicians who are going to play a little musical offering. Phil and Birgit are opening they're opening the show at 1 o'clock. And then there'll also be activities downstairs. There'll be a bake sale, there'll be some crafty type items for sale. Gretchen's bringing some things from her Peace Camp, some cards that she painted individually, so there'll be some handcrafted items. There might be some games for children. Rich is talking about providing us with some games if kids arrive from the different games from the different traditions, and so we're hoping to have a fun time. And if you would and could like to contribute to that with either some baked goods, a craft that you'd like to bring and sell. The proceeds will go to the sanctuary, of course, but it's, just low key, just whatever, suits your fancy. Come and enjoy and be in community with us. That's going to be just a fun holiday. We're calling it an open house, so thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone else have a real upcoming gathering they'd like to share with us? Later on, we'll be sharing from our hearts, and there you can invent whatever you like at that particular point. All right, so here we are today. And meditation is our discernment topic for this month, as I mentioned earlier, as we make our home for our mystic heart. And meditation, particularly object meditation, has many benefits. We've been doing quite a few what I call object meditations this year. We all have, not just here, but in many of the services we have. whether it be following our breath or body or mantra. It can calm the mind, it can relax us, and it can certainly help us to focus our attention. However, when we look at making a home for the mystic heart, remembering that the definition of mystic that we have been using is a person who seeks by contemplation and self-surrender to obtain unity with the Absolute. If we look at that definition, then that contemplation or meditation is less about personal comfort or cognitive effort and more about self-surrender and immersion. And that's how we get to know the nature of our essential self. So at some point, we must let go of the object in order to truly see ourselves. So as we've been speaking for these many months about making a home for the mystic heart, I have to ask, who is it on this spiritual path? Who is it who is making this home for the mystic heart? For me, and for all of us, in fact, I am the one who's making a home for the mystic heart. So I thought we'd spend a little time this morning talking about who is that I? And Sally Jo, bless her heart, and during her ordination ceremony, was passionate about us asking that very question. Who am I? Who am I really? And that cry, that imploration to answer that question has been asked over and over by many, many people over many, many years. More than 2,000 years ago, in Delphi, above the temple to Apollo, was written, "Know thyself." And more recently, it managed to reach into popular culture. Temet Nasre, or Know Thyself, was written on a sign above the door of the Oracle in the movie The Matrix. So, know thyself, who I am, who am I? Our clarion calls for knowledge of ourself and the basis for our understanding. A knowing that is first a benefit to ourselves, and then, more importantly, it allows us to authentically be of benefit to others. We've been using this book of Edwin Bastian's Into Spiritual Meditation, and this book basically is a call for all of us to make meditation a part of our lives. And there's many different methods, if you will. I don't know if you'd like to call them that, but something like that, methods. And in his introduction, he says, I think rather pragmatically, we all yearn for happiness, for peace of mind, to find the answers to life's most basic questions. Who am I? What will I become? These questions are woven into the very fabric of our nature, as if we were genetically programmed to seek the answers to them. At the same time, we also need to survive, to feed, clothe ourselves, to find shelter for our bodies and for our families. To form communities. To live, we must enmesh ourselves in the independent matrix of all of life. There's matrix again. While at the same time, adapting ourselves to the frequently opposing pulls of meaning and meaning for survival. For serving both these ends turns out to be critical, not only for our own health, but for the health of all who depend upon us. And I remember my teacher telling me that I may be the most often used word in the English language. And that I, that simple word I, is the same I that we have used all of our lives to describe the experience of ourselves. We've always referred to ourselves as I. If we were 5 years old going to bed, we'd say, I am going to bed. If I were 10-year-old going out to play, I am going out to play. This morning, we may have said, I am going to go to the sanctuary this morning. It's the same I. The same I has appeared in our heads all of our lives. The timbre of the voice may have changed as we've gotten older, but it's the same voice. It has remained continuously present with us all of our lives. And we may think that this I is my thoughts, my emotions, or my actions, but those ideas or opinions and beliefs about ourselves, they change over time. But what about this I? What is essential, enduring, continually present? Again, who am I really? Science fiction writer and novelist Philip K. Dick cleverly says, reality is that which, when you stop believing it, doesn't go away. So never goes away means never ending, undying, eternal. So what is it about our I that is real, that is never ending, and that is eternal? Again, who am I really? So let's see if we can find some essential attributes of this I that we can agree upon. And I'd like to do this little brief exercise if you're willing. Let me ask you a question. Are you aware? Are you aware of my voice? Aware of this room? I imagine most of us, all of us, will answer probably yes to that. Now I'm going to ask you to do something else. If you close your eyes, I'm going to ask you again, are you aware? But this time, don't try to answer yes or no. Instead, this time go to the place you had to go to arrive at your answer, to where you are aware of being aware. Go there now. So let me ask you, when you tried to go to where that answer came from, did you feel a pause or sort of a gap in your thinking? A feeling of amusement, perhaps, confusion? But maybe even just a second or so? And I actually hope so, because where we have to go to authentically answer that question, not just blow it off, but to answer it authentically, is beyond or prior to thought. There's no object to grasp or anything to give attention to. To go to where you find your answer is to touch on the very essence of who am I. And to go there is to experience unity with the Absolute, which is the core objective of our making a home for the mystic heart. Where we go to find the answer we are aware is exactly the same object-less place that we must go to answer the question, who am I? And I think we can agree that there are at least two attributes of this I that we can say we know for certain. One is that I am. I exist. I am present. And the other is that I'm aware that I am aware. However, as we go through life, our essential and unwavering being, that I am we've just been speaking about, that we are so certain of, it becomes mixed with and qualified by things that are continually changing. Thoughts, memories, perceptions, sensations, activities, relationships, they continually change. They come, they go, and as such, they are not essential to who I am. We habitually give our attention to all the qualifiers and sadly neglect or forget to give attention to our essential I am, to who I am really. Speaking to that, the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh says, we cannot talk about it, but we can experience it. We can experience the non-born, non-dying, non-beginning, non-ending, because it is reality itself. The way to experience it is to abandon our habit of perceiving everything through concepts and representations. So, if you're willing, I ask that you join me in a kind of opportunity to experience that now. To join me in what I'm going to call a brief foray into the very beginnings of what is sometimes considered an object-less meditation. A practice that I learned a while ago from my teacher. It is something about looking inward, looking into who I am, into the very nature of ourselves. So the idea today is a simple one. It is to give our attention to I am before what I am has been conditioned or modified by experience. So if you will, sit comfortably, close your eyes, just breathe naturally. Know that whatever you're experiencing, whatever you're feeling, it's fine. There's no need to judge it. This meditation involves being. There's no actual doing. We ought to take no interest in the content of experience. That is, our thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions. The mind is turning itself in the opposite direction, in an object-less direction, towards I am, the subject of experience, towards the knower rather than the known. In the opening of his Mathlawi, Rumi invites us to come and return to the root of yourself. That's much of what we're doing today. So quiet your mind. Let the content of your experience, your thoughts, feelings, my voice, the sounds in this room, let them fade into the background and emphasize your I am being. When we do so, the mind travels back through layers of its own experience, discarding anything that is not essential to itself. Thoughts, images, feelings, sensations, perceptions. Until only its essential, irreducible essence or nature remains. Simply knowing, being aware of awareness itself. That is our essential self, our essential being. Don't try to locate I am as an objective experience. We don't have to go or look anywhere to be aware of ourselves. We don't find out who we are by reading about it or trying to figure it out. It is found as a revelation within ourselves, something that is beyond words, something which cannot be doubted, something which cannot be fully explained, only experienced. We rest in that very place we went to when we answered, "Are you aware?" We are very familiar, intimate even, with our essential self, with I am. It is just that we have obscured our clarity by adding layer upon layer of qualifying experience, layers of thinking, feeling, acting. We habitually give our attention to all of these qualifiers and neglect our essential I am. Again, allow the content of your experience, your thoughts, to fade into the background and be I am. There is no distance from ourself to ourself. The I that knows that I am is the I that I am. We're not simply resting in awareness. We are awareness. Just be with yourself. For the next several minutes, be aware of being aware. Be aware of being. So finally, as we close this meditation, let's dedicate the merits from this experience with all sentient beings and share it with each other here in this sanctuary and for the greater good. And let's do that in the very simplest possible way. Let's take in a very deep breath and then slowly and deliberately letting everything go, holding nothing back, just exhale. Now Steve is going to give us a little musical interlude. Thank you, Steve. I'm thinking that that meditation we just did, that perhaps the biggest difficulty for some of us is just how simple it is. It really is non-doing. It's just being, as we talked about. But the meditations, many of the meditations we do in the outward meditations, we kind of maybe expect this to be a certain amount of effort, something that needs to be done. But this inward-facing meditation is effortless. It really is, and it's simply resting in our natural state. And again, it's not so much something that we do as much as it's something that we are. And practices like these this objectless meditation, it might at first make us quite uncomfortable. Our egos are quite tenacious. They want to hold on. They don't want to let go of us. But if this kind of objectless meditation feels too uncomfortable for you still at this point, I might suggest another method of getting to our essential self. And that's a method that's commonly known as self-inquiry. It's a direct path into the realization of one's true nature. It was popularized in the early 1900s by Ramana Maharshi. I don't know if you've heard of Ramana Maharshi or not, but it's taught by many, many today as well, especially people in the teachers of the Advaita Vedanta. It's a focus, process. This one's a process. This is a doing still, a process of focusing over and over on who I am repeatedly and methodically peeling away that which is not essential to our being. We don't really have time to go into it today, but I would like to perhaps do a workshop on it sometime in the near future. I've been through it a number of times and I find it quite powerful. But many of us are still rather goal-oriented, so it may take a while to get the hang of just resting, just watching, of letting go of ourselves and letting go of the results. But as with this object meditation we just did, we at least now have a place to start. It may take a few times to try it. It is simple, but it may not be easy. We may feel lost at first, but grace will find a way. Meister Eckhart says, "I'll share with you the truth I've found, that life is full of a darkness that can enlighten you in its own way. There is a thread there to guide you. But to find it, you'll need to look within yourself. When you do, seek the light that shines out of the darkness and be radiant for those who long for hope to brighten their journey." Or as Rumi so beautifully and succinctly says, "Be helpless, dumbfounded, unable to say yes or no. And then a stretcher will come from grace to gather us up." Gathered up by a stretcher of grace. But this kind of path may be slow, perhaps even seem arduous, but we need to have faith. We need to persevere. As the Apostle John says in his first letter, "I do not write to you because you do not know the truth. I am writing to you here because you already know it." And like John says, we can only be convinced of our spiritual insights because in our soul, we already know what is true. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, "Those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed. When they are disturbed, they will marvel and will reign over all. And after they have reigned, they will rest." And after we rest, we use our newfound understanding of ourselves as eternal, as infinite, non-beginning, non-ending, reality itself, as Thich Nhat Hanh said. We use that newfound understanding to inform our actions and our relationships with others. For it is peace and compassion that are the natural consequences of our truly knowing ourselves. Until then, if we find that we're unable to reach and rest in and as ourselves, we can observe whatever thoughts, feelings, or sensations that come up, perhaps hang out with them for a bit, and then allow them to dissolve and simply acknowledge, oh, that's what's going on in my mind right now. It's that easy. Wherever we are, whatever we do, it is essential to acknowledge our experience as something ordinary. It's a natural expression of our true mind. If we don't try to stop what's ever going on in our mind, but merely observe it, eventually we will begin to feel a tremendous sense of relaxation, a vast sense of openness, which in fact is our natural mind, the natural, unperturbed background against which various thoughts come and various thoughts go. All that is necessary, with whatever method we choose, is to trace our way back to our essential being, just like we just did in our exercise. Trace our way back and rest there as that. Since every time we do, we are weakening the old habit of becoming lost in or identified with the content of our experience. And instead, we become more and more established in our true nature of peace. Again, Meister Eckhart, I've said many things, but at the heart of them is this: there is a light within you, in your soul, uncreated, uncreatable. It simply is. If you wish to know yourself, look for this light in the dark. It is ever present, even when you've lost sight of it. Look away from what you think you are and look deeper into the darkness that is within. There you'll find the light which is ever radiant. So let's take a little respite now from all this talk, and we're going to do a little chanting time. And Michael has volunteered today to lead us in a chant, so I'll turn it over to you, Michael.
Howdy? Yep, I am present. All right. Actually, we're going to do a little chant, and since we're going to be using our voices, I'd like to invite us to get back into our bodies, and we're at such, feel the atmosphere now. You know, it's very quiet. It's really nice. And that's the result of the work we've done together right here in this moment. So without disturbing that, if everyone could just, or I would invite you at least, to just stand up and just feel your body on the earth. Feel your spine. Just kind of shift your body a little bit from weight on one foot to weight on the other foot. Okay, yes, sit back down. We kind of get settled when we sit for too long. It's kind of like, like sediment in a coffee cup or something, and just gently swirl it around a little bit is not a bad idea. Okay, so we're going to do a traditional Buddhist chant, and it's from the Heart Sutra. And the words are Gate, Gate, Pardagate, Pardasamgate, Bodhi Swaha. And that may sound complicated, but if you don't think you know it, believe me, you already know it, so don't worry about it. And we're going to do it a bunch of times. So what it means is, oh, what a terrible thing to say. One way to translate it might be, Gate means gone. Gate, gate, gone, gone. Pardasamgate, gone beyond. No, Pardagate, gone beyond. Pardasamgate, gone totally beyond. Bodhisvaha, into the ineffable light of the way things are. I could translate that in an infinite number of other ways, but like I said, it's the ineffable light of the way things are. How are you supposed to talk about it? So George talked about the dropping these layers of these layers of our activity of heart mind, and one of which is our discernment, our discerning mind, our conceptual mind. We build up the world out of our concepts, but we don't have to live in that world. That's just one world that's available to us. We can transcend the world of our concepts and experience the world without thought. That's available to us. And there's lots of these veils over our heart mind that we can pull away gently. And they're really veils of activity. They're veils of thought and our habits of mind. They're not things, really. They're things we can just stop doing, and then we've transcended it. It's really simple. And this mantra is, in a sense, a rehearsal of that, of taking off these layers. Gone, gone, totally gone, gone beyond. I'll shut up and start doing it. So I invite you to do this with me. Gate, gate, pardagate, pardasamgate, bodhiswaha. Gate, gate, pardagate, pardasamgate, bodhiswaha. Gate, gate, pardagate, pardasamgate, bodhiswaha. Gatte gatte para gatte parasam gatte 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 bodhiswaha. Gatte 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 parasam gatte bodhi swaha. So feel the space now. Feel the relationship between the space and your heart mind. Amin. Thank you.
Wow. That was powerful. Thank you, Michael. So we come to the point on service called dedication. And we're nearing our end of our association with this year's discernment, making a home for the mystic heart. Next month, I expect title will close and we'll be entering. We've been building this house of our mystic heart for these last many months. We've been strengthening it with mindfulness. Now it is time we move in. Move in with meditative knowing and make it our home. And I will end today's service with a poem by the 15th century Indian mystic poet Kabir. And Kabir says, I said to the wanting creature inside of me, what is this river you want to cross? There are no travelers on the river road and no road. Do you see anyone moving about on the bank or nesting? There is no river at all, and no boat, and no boatman. There is no tow rope either, and no one to pull it. There is no ground, no sky, no time, no bank, no ford. And there is no body, and no mind. Do you believe there is some place that will make the soul less thirsty? In that great absence, you will find nothing. Be strong then, and enter into your own body. There, you have a solid place for your feet. Think about it carefully. Don't go off somewhere else. Kabir says this, just throw away all thoughts of imaginary things and stand firm in that which you are. Thank you. So that brings this service to an end and time to say goodbye to all of those who are online. Thank you for being with us. Most appreciated.